I am a loser. I'm a failure. No, I don't actually believe that, but you know the saying. You know, a lot of people throw that saying around. You know, you see it on the platform a lot on YouTube. You know, you'll see a bunch of video titles going like, "I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm lonely," and and it's not just on YouTube, but just in society in general. Like this is a saying that most people say when they haven't achieved a certain milestone. They haven't reached a certain point. They didn't get married. They didn't have kids yet. They didn't move out of their parents' house yet. They didn't get this specific job. They didn't get this degree. They're failing at their grades at school and university. You know, the list never ends. And, you know, people will just keep calling themselves a loser and a failure when they haven't achieved these things. But, you know, once you actually reach this awareness and see how the system works and society and how everything is just like rigged against you, you know, at this point, I'm at a point where I don't view myself like that anymore. I'm not insecure about like, oh, not having too many friends, not having a social life. You know, and it's like I don't care anymore. Like I've reached a point where I'm just like, you know, because I don't care, because it is part of the system. It's part of society's game, these rules where, you know, somebody up there is dictating, you know, what you should be doing in order to be a winner, you know, in order to not be a loser or a failure. You know, think about like all these things that we go through where, you know, I didn't go through this, but you kind of see it in movies and just in general, where, you know, or just this general saying. It's like this thing where people are like, "Oh, you're a loser if you're not moving out. You're a loser if you're unemployed. You're a loser if you're not married by 35 years old." You know, it's like all these things that people say just to put you down. It's like at this point we should just tell all these rules, all these people that tell us this, like, fuck you. Like fuck all your rules. Fuck your game, basically. Fuck society's game. And I don't want to play by these rules in this game anymore. So it's like we should just reject all of that, you know, and have some self-respect at least, and just be like, yeah, you know, not call ourselves losers or failures, because there's something at large here. There's something bigger than just our personal circumstances, you know, because when you just focus on your personal circumstances, you're just gonna like victimize yourself. You know, you're gonna drown yourself in self-pity, and that's not what we should be doing. You know, because society is telling you what you should be doing by this age, you should reach this milestone. And we should just say fuck all that. You know, and I see a lot of like people who, you know, they've achieved, they're trying to do so much, they have this dream, these goals, and, you know, they can't reach them, or something is stopping them because the government didn't want to give them money, their funding, and, or somebody wanted to get this degree, but they couldn't get it because of their grades, and or I don't know, or they're looking for a job and they just keep getting rejected, you know, and then they like think to themselves that they're the failure, that they're the problem, when really it's the system, you know, because when it comes to, for example, what I was talking about, the funding and the money and all that stuff, you know, this is something related to, you know, money, digital numbers, basically, you know, and when you look at it that way, it's just fucking meaningless. And then if you look at, you know, grades, for example, well, it's fucking school, for Christ's sake. You're literally depending on another person to give you like a pass. You know, oh, you're gonna do an exam and you pass. You know, it's just like, no, you're depending on another human being so you can move forward in your life. And once you see it that way, like that's how I see it, and I see it as fucking absurd, so I just don't care anymore. You know, some people put in my comment section their insecurities, like they're saying like, oh, I'm ugly, I don't have many friends, I'm this and that, I don't have this, I don't have it. Like, it's like, it is kind of annoying, not because of what they're going through, which I completely empathize with what they're going through, but it's not really what my channel is about. And I did make a video on this a while ago, talking about what my videos are really about. But it's just to reiterate what I'm saying. But it's just people assume that when I talk about like my life circumstances and what everything that I talk about in my videos, people assume that I'm like sad, or I'm like I wish my life was different or better. When I mean, I wish, no, that's not what, what I'm trying to say mainly is that I wish the system handled itself much more differently. You know, I'm not saying that I wish that I looked different. I wish I had a different name. I wish I had a different ethnicity. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Or I wish that I was employed. You know, I wish I wasn't getting rejected by all these jobs. Or I wish my boss was nice to me. I don't think about things like that. So it's like whenever I complain about like what happened at my last job, you know, it's just to show you guys what, you know, how the system rewards these horrible people at the workplace, or the system wants to dismiss all the toxicity, you know, and all that stuff. That is what I'm mainly saying. I'm not saying, oh man, I wish my boss was more nice to me. I'm not saying that. But yeah, but this like my videos aren't about my personal, well, because I mention my personal circumstances, but I'm not like drowning in self-pity when discussing these things. It's mostly to bring up an anecdote to make a point about the system itself and society and how everything works, and that's really what my videos are about. And when you really think about it, society is the one that defines success. You know, your grades are what are going to define what happens to you in the future. You know, and the job you have is going to define your status. And so that when people say, oh, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? You can actually say something, and you can be part of the club and all that stuff. And you can feel accepted and recognized, you know, oh yeah, I'm accepted by society, you know. And it's like, why do we have to chase approval from society at this point? You know, so this whole like, I'm a loser, I'm a failure is just completely pointless to me. We should just stop acting like this, because the more we act like this is exactly what the system wants. The system wants us to feel like failures so that we can like push even harder, you know, move forward harder, and just grind in the system harder so that we can like reach a point where we are like, oh, satisfied with ourselves, you know, because this is exactly part of the game. They want us to play this game. There's also the whole thing about like looks and beauty standards and all that stuff. And, you know, a lot of people are going to come on here and say like, oh, I wish I looked like this. I wish I looked like that. I wish I was like better looking and all that stuff. And it's just, you know, this is something that society has defined. Society said that, oh, we should look like this in order to have this and that and then this and that. This is society's game. This is society decided all of these things. And like, we should just opt out of it. You know, and the more we opt out of it, we don't have to view ourselves as losers or failures anymore. You know, because, you know, the ones who like still depend their value on society's rules and games, they're the ones that are going to keep calling themselves failures and losers. You know, and we should just like move further away from like whatever society is doing with their, you know, their stuff, you know, because the more you move away, the more you can actually be at peace with yourself, you know. And that is what's gonna, you know, like that's what makes it more like authentic, you know, because you're not just depending your value on society. You're just depending your value on yourself. You know, you're just yourself. That's it. Like you're not depending anything on anybody. Just yourself, and that's it. Because, you know, I'm at peace. I'm more at peace now because of this. You know, as much as this awareness can overwhelm me and kind of drain me sometimes because I'm realizing all this stuff, it actually is bringing me peace as well at the same time, because I'm realizing that, you know, if I'm not like part of the system's game, if I'm not playing the game, then you can just be at peace with yourself. That's all. No comparing yourself to other people. You don't have to say, oh, this person has a better life. This person has a better job than me. This person has a higher salary. This person is married by age 35. This person is this and that. All of these stupid milestones that society has created just to say, hey, you made it and stuff. So, we shouldn't feel like we are behind, because this is just part of the game. We were actually just born into all these expectations that we were never asked to deal with. So just think about it. We just got born into this. So it's like we don't have to like participate in it. We can just kind of just opt out of it. We don't have to participate in it. And I'm not saying that everything is perfect for me. For example, like I am unemployed, but am I drowning in self-pity because I can't get a job? Absolutely not. I am stressing about money and digital numbers. I'll be honest and say that. But I am not like kind of thinking to myself as a failure or a loser because I can't get a job, because I know what the hell is like out there. I know about the job market. I know how ridiculous and absurd it is to just having to depend your whole life on another human being, just to make money to survive. Like, when you really look at it that way, it's like, I don't view myself as a failure because of that. I don't view myself as a loser because I know how fucking rigged everything is. And so, in a way, it does give me peace, but at the same time, I know it's stressful because, our whole lives depend on fucking digital numbers. So I am stressing when it comes to that aspect. But am I stressing and am I looking down on myself just because somebody's rejected me, like a job offer and all that stuff? And absolutely not. I don't fucking care about that. Am I gonna look down on myself because I got an email saying, oh, we will no longer be taking applicants for this job now? Like, I'm just like, fuck you. That's literally it. You just have to say fuck you to that fucking email, to the hiring manager that's hiring people. Just say fuck you. That's all you gotta fucking do. And once you reach that point where you can say fuck you, well then, yeah, fuck them. Like, who cares? Because everything is fucking rigged. Like, there's literally nothing we can actually do. So it's just like, yeah, it is what it is. And when you really think about it, all these winners in life, they're the ones that are following the rules. They're following the script. They're following everything by the book. They're doing everything right. And it's like, okay, good for them. But us losers, we're not losers, but us losers, we're the ones that are questioning everything. We're questioning whether this game is even worth playing. We're the ones questioning if everything is right. We're the ones questioning if this high cost of living is even a good thing. Like, we're gonna question if this is normal or not. So in a way, having this awareness is not a weakness. It's definitely, we are aware of things, and yeah, I mean, it has its pros and cons. But another thing that the system does is make you feel guilty about whatever position you're in right now in life. And so it's going to make you want to, and that guilt's going to fuel you to push yourself harder to, I feel guilty for not like working out too much, so I'm going to have to go work out. I feel guilty for being a lazy bum, so I'm gonna have to do more. And it's just like, this is all what society is telling you to do. Society is telling you to do all these things in order to be viewed as successful, to be viewed as, oh, you're doing something with your life. When you really look at the bigger picture, this is all like somebody at the top, somebody that decided this is what we have to do in life. And it should not be that way. It should be like, we should just be doing our own thing. We should just carve our own path and do what we want to do. That's what life should be about. Not what society says or what the system wants you to do. That's not life to me. No. Like, think about it. You go on LinkedIn and you see like a job application, a job offer, and you see like 300 applicants. 300 people have applied to this specific position. So you can't tell me that, you're going to be a failure or a loser if you don't get this job, because obviously there are so many fucking people applying to one fucking position. So you can't just view yourself as a failure or a loser if you don't get it. So it's like, When you look at it that way, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. So, rather than thinking that you're a failure or a loser, we should just think that the system failed us. Society failed us. That's what we should put the blame on the system and society. We shouldn't put the blame on ourselves to have to do better and all that stuff. This whole system wants us to compete against each other. Once we realize that, we really don't have to call ourselves losers or failures. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.